Hi guys. Hi. Hi guys. Great. So we have a lot of you joining in. I'm very happy and excited to see you all. So today I'll be joined by Dr. Tanvi Vaidya, and so we're gonna discuss all of the things. Yes, I'm just gonna get her in. Thing in between. Um. All right. So I'm just gonna
Hello.
quickly join.
Uh, I'm
Hi,
great.
Dr.
How are you?
Tanvi. How are you? Very well, very well, Dr. Tanvi. I'm
Same here.
so excited to see you here. But we've been joined by a lot of followers, and it's so good to see you. Great. So without wasting any time, we'll get to it. So, you guys, Dr. Tanvi Vaidya she's a dermatologist. We've all seen her here on Instagram and we love her content. So today, we sort of just wanted to discuss a few things. So I contacted Dr. Tanvi and she was kind enough to, just get herself here and share her views and thoughts on, different topics. And if all goes well, if you guys like it by the end of the reel, please do let us know that if you would like more of such sessions with us, and I'm sure Dr. Tanvi and I would be more than happy to come here and talk more
Absolutely.
frequently.
I'm a big fan of content too, by the way.
Great. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Dr. Tanvi. That means a lot. And great. So, Dr. Tanvi, like we've mentioned earlier here, that the topic for today's discussion is going to be how to establish a good, a basic skincare routine. So, we're going to discuss about the skincare routine for for even men today. So, I think this is where I want to just start off, because a lot of time we talk about skincare and it's generally, I don't know, there's a perception that it's only for women. So just to break that thing, let's talk about men's skincare first. And I want to truly know your thoughts as to, when a male patient or a male client walks into your office. So what are their expectations and what are these genuine problems that
Well,
have, and
first
what
of
do
all,
you recommend for
I
it?
think that whether it's a man or a woman, your skin is skin, right? It doesn't, if you want to care for your skin,
Yeah.
I always also say that skincare is not a need, it's a want, right? So if you want to care for your skin, then it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. So a lot of men I've noticed have now started getting more into skincare. Like, probably people in our parents' generations would, like, I don't think my dad ever applied anything to his face other than like a bar soap. But I see so many men coming in now, who regularly at least wear sunscreens and who genuinely want to do more.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are doing it. And I really feel like, why not? I absolutely love it when I see men coming in and applying and asking me what exactly to use. And I think it's great. Brilliant, refreshing.
I Great. So, Dr. Tanvi, what do they like? How do you say would be a very first basic step for a boy or a male who wants to go onto a skincare journey? What should be their first step? Like, for example, I believe that, at least boys should have a very basic cleansing, moisturizing, and a sun
Right.
protection routine.
I feel
Apart
whether
from
it's a
this,
man or a woman, this is basic and it's up to you how much more you want to do, right? So the most basic is obviously cleansing is something that everyone's been doing, right? Maybe with the right cleansers, maybe with the wrong cleansers, but everyone's been cleansing their face at least with a soap. So if not a soap, at least move on to something better than a soap that will suit your skin and the skin type, right? So that's number one. Moisturizing and sunscreen is something that a lot of people, maybe moisturizing is something you have been doing, but sunscreens is something that, awareness is growing now. So I think this is the thing, whether you're a man or a woman, this
yeah.
is what everybody needs to do. Beyond that, it's up to you what you need to add to it. So whether you add, anti-aging,
Hmm.
retinols, vitamin C's, or peptides, or you want to add something for pigmentation, something for acne, all of that would depend on your skin type. I don't think that would depend on whether you're a man or a woman. But yeah, it's basic. If you're somebody who doesn't want to do much, then stick to your cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen.
Definitely. I completely agree with you here. So, like you said, a lot of people have a lot of curiosity. Some of them are really, really, very curious as to how they can look better because Of course, skincare is universal. It's gender neutral. Everybody, right, left, and center, should be following very basic steps. So like Dr. Tanvi said, I personally believe in this too. A good antioxidant serum is very important for, men, because again, the UV rays is so hard. You just need to basically protect everything. So it's all about protection in the end for men. And SPF is extremely important for boys. Retinoids, again, if they're looking for anti-aging purposes. Great. So on that note, Dr. Tanvi, let's just, sort of now, like, while we're on that topic, let's talk about other skincare essentials, which you might feel apart from the basics. What do you think is something that is absolutely needed? For example, I get a lot of question, toners. Do you feel toners are important? Because I personally feel that toners they don't do anything specific for the
Unless
skin. So I just want to
somebody
quickly
is
know your
very,
thoughts on it.
very oily skin, unbearably oily skin, then yes, a toner. But otherwise, particularly someone with skin slightly on the drier side, or even somebody with combination skin, when you use it on the dry parts of your face, it's actually going to cause more damage. You're going to damage your barrier. So I really don't think using a toner at all.
Yeah.
It's one of the most nonsense parts of skincare.
Same. So I've been a big advocate of no toning. I would rather invest in a very good serum, which will give me the same sort of, protection or same sort of results. So anything else that you feel is important in the basic skincare routine?
I would talk about, again, as I keep saying, cleansing, moisturizing, and sunscreen. In the most basic thing, I talk about double cleansing. So a lot of people who use sunscreen, they use very heavy sunscreen sometimes. To each his own. But when you do use heavy sunscreens, or if you use a lot of makeup, then you need to take it off really well. So double cleansing is something that I would really stress upon, especially at night. So at the end of the day, just a face wash may not help you take off all of those heavy layers that that's on your face. So that's when you need to use either a cleansing balm, or you use a micellar water to wipe out first, and then you use your regular face wash. That I think is something very, very important.
Yeah. So double cleansing is great. And now that the summers are on peak, I also recommend sometimes, use just a very light sort of a face mask. Now for oily skin, people can go for, different face masks, which are basically more clay based. I love, just the regular homemade multani mitti face masks. I absolutely love that for oily skin. So I think that, so apart from cleansing, now moisturizing and protection, we've spoken about double cleansing, extremely important. And then some sort of face mask can be added once a week or once every 10 days, depending upon the skin concerns. Great. So now that we've asked that question, anybody would like to ask any question, please guys, we'll try to stick to the topic that's more important. So any questions regarding the skincare routine, Dr. Tanvi and I will be more than happy to take questions. So we have somebody talking about open pores. So open pores is one topic, Dr. Tanvi, there is no one answer. So how do you want to, I'll make you start
Open
first.
pores,
So
we need to
what
understand why they happen. So pores are normal. We need pores. Pores are the openings of your sweat glands on your face. Sweat glands and also your oil producing glands, which we need on your face. So it's not like you can get rid of your pores. They just look a little more prominent in people who've had oily skin. You may not have oily skin now. You may have had it in the past. But because of that excess oil production, your duct sort of stays open over time. It sort of loses laxity over time. Also, when there's a lot of sun exposure over the years, those ducts of your oil glands are lax. The collagen around those ducts decreases. So how we can treat this is salicylic acid, niacinamide, and retinoids to reduce oil production. And we also need to boost collagen. So to some extent, out of all the topicals that we use, to some extent, retinoids could work. But very frankly, experience, it's not really going to completely get rid of it. You need to do procedures to really tighten those pores. So whether it's a temporary benefit with say mesobotox, or if you want more permanent results, you can go in for microneedling. We combine microneedling with PRP. You can do MNRF. You can do certain lasers like CO2. That really helps tighten the pores, and that's what's going to give you more lasting results. Just one hack that I have. For people who have very prominent pores and who haven't really yet gone in for those procedures, you can use a hyaluronic acid serum. Sort of plumps your skin up. It's only a temporary benefit. It's not going to get rid of your pores, but at least while you use it, it looks a little less prominent. So that's one hack that you can use.
Definitely. I mean, I could agree more. I feel you've touched every important aspect of it. So open pores is something that, I always say use some sort of in-clinic treatment. These modalities really help you in the long run. And, you've very very precisely you've told us the reasons also behind open pores. So I hope that answers the question. So any other questions we'd like to pick up?
if I work out in the evening and do my skincare after that, do I still need to wash my face at night? No, absolutely not, because then you're covered. That's what I do a lot. So, I mean, it depends on how early you're working out. So, if you're working out at 4 in the evening, yes, maybe you need to wash your face later. But if you're working out like 7ish in the evening, I mean, say 1 or 2 hours before bedtime is good enough. You can absolutely do your skincare then, and then you don't need to wash your face at night again. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So I feel for any skin type, washing your face 2 times, once in the morning, once in the evening, is more than enough. And in turn, I mean, you have to really look out for your barrier as well. So sticking to the topic, I think we missed on this question, but there was a very good question: how to layer 2 serums. Now, this is one of the very, very basic, knowledge that people sort of get very confused in. So if they're using 2 serums at the same time, which goes first, which goes second? So, if I have to say pick up, like, there's a reel which I've done recently also, and I spoke about it always depends upon the consistency of the 2 products. So say your vitamin C and hyaluronic acid are 2 products that you're using in the morning time. Then I say personally that vitamin C should go in first, so that it has a clean slate to get absorbed well into the skin. And then maybe they can use something like a hyaluronic acid on top and just dampen their skin. So what are your views on this,
I
Dr. Tanvi?
always sort of always prescribe hyaluronic acid first on moist skin. Honestly, it doesn't matter that much, because both are serums. If it was a cream, then it would have mattered to put the serum first and then the cream. So this would come down to a personal preference if both are serums, right? I prefer to use hyaluronic acid on damp skin. Over that, I apply the rest of my actives, because hyaluronic acid would also help a little bit with increased absorption, but this is completely a personal choice. So I'm a big hyaluronic acid buff. If
Yeah, it all depends on the consistency or the fluidity of serum, because hyaluronic acid sometimes, if you see, is more little viscous. So every product is designed different. And if there is any confusion, if you feel that, you've invested more in a vitamin C serum and what if it's getting wasted, then just use vitamin C in the morning and use your hyaluronic acid at bedtime, so that there is no confusion at all, right? Great. So, yeah. So one question that I also receive a lot is, how do you change a skincare routine after hitting a plateau? So which means that, you're using the best kind of products in the market, you're enjoying it and you're getting results. But some people feel that after a particular stage, this is when their results, they just stop happening for them, or they just don't see those visible results which they saw initially. So I always tell them to, amp it up a little bit by changing basics, maybe going in for higher concentration of products what you're using, but never sort of take like a 360-degree turn to what you're doing.
So
So what
I
are your
think when
thoughts
you
on
hit a plateau with your skincare, it's often a combination of a bunch of things. For one, your type may have changed.
that?
So what was working for you earlier may not be working for you now. With the weather, your skin type changes. With stress levels, your hormonal levels, so many factors can make your skin type just sort of change suddenly. And if that happens, you need to change your skincare routine to suit your skin type. If one thing is not working for you. So that is one.
Yeah.
Secondly, I feel is yes, you can hit a plateau. Like for example, you're using a retinol for a while, and maybe you need to go up on the strength of your retinol. So you may have started with a gram retinol. You may need to go up to higher strengths, 0.5 or 1%, and then gradually on. So maybe it's that has changed. Also, sometimes people who have specific concerns, like for example, somebody with acne, somebody with pigmentation, if just your regular skincare is not working, then maybe you need to go in for procedural treatments. There is a limit how much just skincare can do for you. Or sometimes prescription based products which would require much higher
Yeah,
strengths. So it's just about that. You need to just reassess what you're doing and whether you need to make any changes.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more, because we've sort of touched everything. So, that pretty much sums it up, because a lot of times people say, ma'am, I've been using everything, I'm doing everything that is needed, I'm following all the rules of skincare, but I don't see results. So, yeah, this is the same thing which I always tell them. And sometimes you just need that sort of, say a procedure like a micro needling, which will just make your skin more permeable, it will just absorb your skincare better. A lot of times doing just doing everything also could be an issue. You need to just take a step back and just reassess everything that you're doing, and then you guys can just change the products accordingly. And definitely when you hit a plateau, it's not the time to start experimenting with your skin. That's most important. It's the time when you go and actually talk to a professional, talk to a dermatologist or an aesthetic physician, and get your things sorted. That because a lot of times I feel that people they just blindly start to experiment with their skin once they know, okay, now the results are good and nothing is going wrong, and that is when things go downhill. Perfect. Great. So
There's
any
one
questions you'd like
question
to
here
take up, Dr.
saying, after
Tanvi?
using retinol serum, I applied moisturizer, but still my skin became so dry and skin was cracking. Me, how should I use retinol? This is a great question, because a lot of people, with all the stuff you see on
Yeah.
social media, you just start applying, chalo, let me put everything. But the problem with that is some products are a little strong and you need to introduce it very gradually into your skincare. So for one, retinol, if do not ever use during pregnancy, during lactation, that's very important. When you do start using it, start with a very low strength retinol. So you also get granactive retinol, you get bakuchiol. So you can start with these milder versions, or if you go for a retinol, use a 0.1 or a 0.3% retinol when you start. Always start with only twice a week. I always keep saying this, don't start with a daily dosage, even if it's a low strength. Start with twice a week, because you don't know how your skin is going to react to it. No one knows. You don't know how your skin would react to it. So always start with twice a week. Once you start tolerating it, if you feel there isn't too much dryness, there isn't stinging, then make it alternate days over the next few weeks. Then make it daily. And then go up on your strength of it. Also, if you face any irritation, layer it. So we call it the sandwich technique. So you can sandwich it two layers of moisturizer, or between a layer of hyaluronic acid and a moisturizer. So that is something that you can really do to help decrease that irritation that happens with retinol. It's a very common problem. You may also have purging, which is
Very common.
mild, few breakouts when you start an active for the first time. But go through it. It's how it goes ahead. And if you're confused, do talk to an expert, as Dr. Saru said. That's very important. You can really mess your skin up if you don't know how to use it.
Definitely. I completely agree with you. So using retinoids, everybody just wants to start retinoids the moment they, get introduced into the skincare world, or they touch 20s or even 25. Nowadays, I have very young patients who just want to start retinoids as is. But like Dr. Tanvi said, and we've also been talking about it right, left, and center, that retinoids are not something which you can experiment with at all times. So you have to follow a specific set of do's and don'ts so that you don't have these issues. And sometimes even with the best skincare possible, retinoids can always give you some sort of irritations. So make sure, for example, if you have a very good holiday, a summer holiday, a beach vacation coming up, and that is the time, Dr. Tanvi, I absolutely ask my patients to stay away from retinoids, because once they come back, they always experience issues. So yeah, that point is something that we have covered. I would also like to take this question where somebody was asking, is double cleansing important for oily skin? Now, double cleansing is, I feel, good for almost every skin type, until you have a very dry, dehydrated skin and you want to sort of save that and just use a very gentle cleanser. But oily skin, I feel double cleansing is a must. Now, I am a big advocate, Dr. Tanvi, of using gentle cleansers. So, I am one of those people. I would give something which has a glycolic acid or salicylic acid in extreme conditions, when they have a lot of acne maybe, or, if I feel that, okay, the skin is healthy and they can sort of get use of some exfoliants. Having said that, double cleansing for oily skin is very, very important to just take care of, remove everything at the end of the day. So your makeup, dust, any excess of sunscreen that you're applying, because we will touch that also, reapplication of sunscreen. So when you're applying sunscreen, you really need to get rid of it really, really fast, and in a proper way, so that whatever you do applying at night gets absorbed into your skin. So oily skin, normal skin, and dry skin, everybody can benefit from double cleansing. So Dr. Natasha says hi. Dr. Natasha, we're so happy you've joined in. Great. All right, so we'll take up more questions now, Dr. Tanvi.
There's a lot of hair questions coming in, but I think maybe if we're trying to stick to the, you want to take on one? There's one in which someone's asking, should someone with dandruff avoid hair oil completely, or can it be used weekly as hair care? Yes. If you have dandruff, I would definitely recommend avoid hair oil. There's a lot of hair oils that claim to eliminate dandruff, but hair oils by nature, any oil, is basically an occlusive. And dandruff is fungus that is normally present in our scalps. It overgrows at times of stress, or when the weather changes, or certain various hormonal conditions, so many triggers can make that fungus sort of overgrow. Now, if you apply any oil on top, which is an occlusive, it's going to actually give a great environment for that fungus to grow in. So that is not what we want to do. So you're actually helping the fungus to grow and you're going to worsen your dandruff. So if you have dandruff and if you really like oil in your hair, because it's a great conditioner, no doubt, apply it on the hair length. Don't apply it on your scalp. That's very important, particularly when you have dandruff. You need specific anti-dandruff or antifungal therapies to get rid of your dandruff. Even with that, it could come back. So you always need to have some sort of maintenance. But if you're dandruff prone, avoid hair oil. Absolutely.
I agree. Just this morning, I had a patient, lot of acne, but then one thing that I always generally ask, but again, I could see that she had a lot of oil on her hair. And so she was somebody who was putting oil for hours and hours, keeping it overnight. And I think that is what could have been a major trigger for her acne as well, because I believe the oil is only helping your scalp till the time you're actually massaging it. And, so the blood circulation going in. Do you think keeping your, oil on hair overnight is doing anything? Because I feel it's not doing anything. If you're just using a proper oil and conditioning your hair and let it sit for about 2 hours before you wash your hair, I feel that is more than enough, more conditioning that your hair really needs. Keeping it overnight serves no purpose. And, of course, it can give you acne. Imagine sleeping on a pillow and then the oil and then you're shifting. Oh my God, it just gives me chills. Even thinking about it. So I think this is one mistake that people always make, and keeping hair oils longer is, problematic. It's not going to serve any purpose.
There's another question that's come in about which one should we use first, the spot correct or moisturizer. So I think in terms of layering, I think we have touched upon it before. But basically, as Dr. Saru said, always go from thinnest to thickest. So start with your serums, then go on for your creams. I always say go for your actives first and then your moisturizer. Unless you have irritation. If you have irritation, go for your moisturizer first and then put your actives on. If it's in a cream form, right? If it's in a serum form, go for the serum first and then your moisturizer. Even amongst all of these products, as a general rule, remember, after cleansing would be your serums, then your moisturizer, and then your sunscreen. A lot of people put their sunscreen first and then they'll put their serums, but that's not going to work. A lot of sunscreen contain silicones and stuff, which would then prevent absorption. So sunscreen has to be the last layer. So that is one more thing that.
Incident where somebody was putting sunscreen at bedtime. So guys, no sunscreen at bedtime. Sunscreen means protection from UV. We don't have UV at night. Okay, so just great. What is an anti-aging skincare routine for 35 plus women? Now, this is a great question. We can talk about this. How to establish a basic anti-aging skincare routine. Now, to establish a basic anti-aging skincare routine, very easy. Basics will always remain the same. Anti-aging is not necessarily use of retinoids. Anti-aging also depends how do you protect your collagen, your skin's collagen, because this is very true and this is very factual that after a particular age, say of 25, it's when your collagen starts depleting very, very, it starts depleting aggressively. Then if you have other environmental factors in play, for example, sun damage, and you're not taking a proper diet, that's how it sort of accelerates it. So retinoids are great, but I think for 35 plus women should really, really consider getting some done so that they get the most results. So don't just depend on topical anti-aging. Retinoids are great. Of course, it's going to help you. Nobody denies the fact. But to get the maximum effect, use antioxidants. Pair them in the morning. Very, very important, because that's what's going to protect your skin really. And if you're using retinoids, nothing like it. But do consider some anti-aging routines. That is very important.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. There's a lot of, but I also feel that there is a good positive change. A lot of people are realizing that, and a lot of people do come in and, come in every month, like regularly, and they will care for their skin. And I think it's awesome. It's a part of self-care, I think, and that's wonderful. Someone has asked, I have some wrinkles at 27 years old age. Can I use a retinol serum? Okay, so yes, absolutely, you should start using a retinol by 27 if you already have wrinkles. But one thing I'll tell you, it's not going to get rid of the wrinkles that you already have. Only Botox can do that for you. Even that too temporarily. So that would require multiple sessions. But it's important to start caring for it now. If you've already developed wrinkles, start using a retinol. Start using a vitamin C in the morning and a retinol at night. Come in for Botox once every 6 months or so. If your wrinkles right now are dynamic, that means they're only coming in when you smile or when you frown and all of that. They're going to
Make it
turn
fresh.
static in a while, okay? Because your retinol isn't going to reverse them, and you're going to keep frowning. Those
Hmm.
lines are going to get deeper, and they're going to turn static. So the only way to stop that from happening is doing your Botox. So that's something you should probably consider.
Exactly. Point. So you need to understand retinoids cannot reverse the damage that has been caused. You can either you can only slow down the progression, and that's very important. People expect magic to happen with retinoids, and guys, that never happens. Even with the best consistency, you will definitely see 20%, 30%. Even sometimes, if you have a very good skin, or just got very lucky, 40% improvement, you cannot reverse any signs of aging. You can only slow down the
Brought up
progression.
that
Okay,
retinols don't do
now
magic. A lot of people they start retinol and they say, "मेरा skin तो same ही है, कुछ नहीं हुआ in 1 month." And I'm like, "कुछ नहीं हुआ in 1 month? Nothing is going to happen to your skin. The only thing that's going to happen is what you're going to see 20 years from now. 20 years later, you'll say, thank God I used retinol." But yeah, that's how retinols work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying this session because, a lot of topics are being covered, and I'm sure, our viewers are also enjoying it. Okay, now, Dr. Tanvi, a very interesting question. Okay, I'm sure you've gotten this a lot of times. How do you reapply sunscreen on top of makeup? So, to be very honest, the question actually, I've had this conversation with a lot of fellow doctors. It kind of takes you back, and it puts you, to thinking, how do we tell them? Because how do you apply on top of makeup? And then again, the question follows, this will spoil my makeup. Then what do I do? So it is, I feel, okay, first I would like to know your thoughts on it. What do you tell your patients when they say, I want to reapply my sunscreen, but I don't know how to do
personally
on top of my
use
makeup?
very liquid lotion based sunscreens over my makeup, and it honestly doesn't spoil my makeup, so I'm quite comfortable with that. But I know that a lot of people do complain that it is spoiling, and people who use a lot
Oily,
more product,
yeah,
possibly with much heavier foundations, it may be spoiling your makeup. In that case, there are a lot of options. So firstly, you get sunscreen serums. Okay, so you can apply makeup sponge, you can just dab it on, that's one. Does it, so it's literally like applying a very thin serum on top of your makeup, not going to spoil it. You also get sunscreen sticks which can be applied also, which do not spoil your makeup, again very light. You also get sunscreen powders, so you get them in a brush form with which you can just
yeah.
dab it on. Only with powders what happens is you can't use it as a primary mode of application of your sunscreen, so that's okay, reapplication, but it's not going to give you sufficient coverage. When you do reapply also, you're supposed to dab it on for like a whole minute, which is a long time, so you have to be prepared to do that. Also, make sure you don't accidentally inhale that. Since it's a powder form, make sure you don't accidentally inhale it. That's very important. But yeah, these are some of the great ways to reapply your sunscreen with makeup on.
Exactly. So I feel I'm not a fan of those loose powders. I know a lot of Indian brands have also started making them. Heliocare has one. My favorite so far has been from this international brand called Supergoop. It's really nice. It's very finely milled, and it works great for oily skin. But I would also like to recommendation for our audience, which is the Heliocare Compact. I feel that is great. But again, people who have dry skin might have issues with it. People oily to combination skin might actually enjoy it. Now there's this triangular shape, beautiful puff which comes. So you just take that and you apply it. Now, again, the questionable part here is what level of protection is it really giving you? That is a really questionable part. I always tend to tell my patients that, you need to make sure when you're applying the sunscreen, when you're applying makeup, the sunscreen underneath should be a little light based. So it should not be very heavy, so that even if you're layering 2-3 times, like how I do it, I apply one layer, very thin layer, then I'll give it about 2 to 3 minutes, then a second layer, and then a third layer, and then I do my makeup on top. So that is also a good way to do it. And how Dr. Tanvi's put it, you just use sunscreen serums. They're also very nice. But yes, don't just rely on these serums on top of your makeups. If you have to be out, use extra protection. Use maybe something like an umbrella. Use mask. Use like a hat. Extra sun protection is something which will always protect you more. Okay. Great. I think, our viewers will sort of benefit from all that information. We will be taking more questions, and we'd like for people to just stick to the topic. Great.
Someone's asking about recommendations for brightening. Okay, now brightening is a sexy topic. I come across a lot of people using it interchangeably with fairness, and I'm really not someone who promotes fairness at all. Like I have literally had patients walk into my clinic, and ask me for glutathione injections or like fairness treatments, and I literally tell them, "Okay, I'm sorry, bhai, aap chale jao. I'm not your guy. I am someone who loves brown skin, and I'm going to always promote brown skin." Uh, if you're looking for brightening, yes. If you're just talking about a glow, if you're talking about an uneven, patchy skin tone, or uneven pigmentation, yes, then I'm definitely here to help you. So in terms of brightening, in that sense, I would talk of using an arbutin, a kojic acid, vitamin C, a niacinamide. All of these are really good ingredients to give you that brightness. Again, licorice extracts. All of these really help depigment. That's very important. Also, one thing here I'd like to talk about is moisturizing. So, very often dry skin lacks that glow. Dry skin is what skin look that like that dull and dehydrated sort of thing. So, if it's just moisturized, it reflects light a lot better, which is why I like hyaluronic acid again. So, it just helps your skin reflect light better, and that's very important. And the last of all of this is sunscreen, because the more you use your sunscreen, the better your skin is always going to get. That uneven pigmentation and all that is not going to happen at all. So keep using your sunscreen and your.
So sunscreen is very important, you guys. Everything boils down to zero. All your investment goes down the drain if you're not using sunscreen. Perfect. So I think Dr. Tanvi has covered every point. So somebody's asking, I have recurring cystic acne, and I want to use a tinted sunscreen, and my skin is oily, fungal acne prone skin. Now, fungal acne is a huge issue, specifically in the coming days, the summer, the humid environment, and a lot of time it stems from, just fungus basically growing on your scalp, which we call as a dandruff. Now, fungal acne is something which is very tricky to treat, because it's fungal when it's not getting treated by your regular topical antibiotics or even oral antibiotics. And a lot of times, Dr. Tanvi, I feel that just using a simple anti-dandruff shampoo gives them about 50% of relief. So what are your takes on fungal acne? Because I feel just doing less with fungal acne is more important, because a lot of time people start using salicylic acid and retinoids and this and that, and they completely disrupt their barrier. So tinted sunscreen for oily skin is great, but again, we first like to treat the cause of acne, which is the fungal acne. So what are your thoughts
You
on
hit
this?
the nail on the head that just an anti-dandruff shampoo is going to make a lot of difference. But I also feel that, of course, no offense to whoever has asked the comment, but I also feel fungal acne is very often overdiagnosed. It's become a trend, so to speak, on Instagram that this is acne.
Their acne,
Rarely in my practice, like it's quite a rare entity. I've seen acne getting triggered by dandruff, yes, but a positive acne is something that's rather rare. If your acne is not responding to routine treatments, don't try to experiment too much. That's what I would say. If you even suspect you have fungal acne, you're suspecting it because it's not responding to your routine, what you're trying to do. Definitely dermatologist. I think that is a very important takeaway here, especially with acne. If someone tells me that they're just trying to figure their skincare routine out, um, and they're experimenting, seeing stuff online and experimenting, go for it. But especially with acne, I see so many people ending up with really bad acne scars and really bad pigmentation, which is much harder to treat than acne. I'm sure you'd agree, Dr. Saru, acne is so easy to treat. If I get a patient, I can really fix acne really easily. It's the subsequent complications that are hard to treat. Like your scarring ho gaya, you're going to need lasers, you're going to need procedures. And I don't want to get treatment faster, sooner than later. That's very important.
Then, a lot of times people confuse their atrophic scars with pores. So, when they say, ma'am, itne pores, and they just don't realize what is the basic difference between, pores and atrophic scar. And, like you put it very correctly, it's sometimes very hard, and they will use everything under the sun. And it's, of course, in, social media is to be blamed somewhere, because everybody right, left and center is a skincare enthusiast. They are recommending products, and which has sort of driven this industry to what it is today. Of course, you can't blame everybody for it, but then again, it's up to the consumer to where they want to source their knowledge from. That is very, very, very important. And a lot of times acne is self-inflicted, whether it is just by use of wrong products or whether, for somebody who has hormonal imbalances, say PCOD, you have thyroid issues, insulin resistance, all of these factors have to be taken in role. And if tomorrow somebody gets up and says, use this product and your acne will go away, I would never believe that. Even if I was not a skincare specialist, from very young, we knew that, I cannot just use on somebody's recommendation. And I think this is the reason that today, when we hit our 30s, somewhere down the line, we are still protected, because we never just went in, all heads blazing, ki, haan, bas, ab sab kar denge, and then that is going. Because growing up, trust me, Dr. Tanvi, I also had a very bad acne prone skin. I mean, I still have an acne prone skin, but the only basic thing that I do is I never experiment with my skin. If I know something works for me, it works. For example, I know niacinamide doesn't work for my skin. I've tried it a multiple of times, and I'm not saying niacinamide is not a good ingredient, but this just goes out for an example that not if niacinamide has worked for you and has magically cured your acne, good for you, but it doesn't work for me. So you always need to know what works for you, and that's that. There's no ifs and buts there.
Absolutely. A lot of my face for freckles, honestly, nothing's going to work. If it was melasma, if it was just pigmentation, a lot of these depigmenting ingredients work. For freckles, you have to go for an NDI glazer. There is nothing else in the world that fixes freckles. And brilliantly, they will go, they will nicely disappear. But yes, if you have a tendency to develop freckles, they may tend to keep coming back. It does happen. But they respond beautifully to the laser.
Somebody's asking alpha-arbutin or kojic acid for pigmentation, what to choose. I feel both work great. They go like this, either or. I prefer, concoctions which have both alpha-arbutin and kojic acid, and maybe some AHA, BHA in it with it. So I love both of them. It's not either or. So if you have, say very minor scarring, then just maybe a 2% alpha-arbutin serum is more than enough. But I feel kojic acid, arbutin together are game-changing.
Can people with a dusky skin tone go for carbon laser, or will it burn their skin? Absolutely, you can. We see a lot of people who go in for a carbon toning with dusky skin. It's just, you need to know how to handle it. Yeah. Just lower the energy slightly, because with lighter skin tones, you can go with much higher energies. But with darker skin tones, we lower the energy and we do it. It works beautifully.
Yes, perfect. So what do you feel, Dr. Tanvi, when people sort of walk in, they're very apprehensive and they're very, they sort of question the modern day lasers, ki ma'am humne ye suna tha ki lasers se aadat pad jati hai skin ko, and what if I do micro needling once, will I just have to coming? So dark ho jata, and I knew this girl and she went in for a laser and her pigmentation was so bad, but they don't know the basic do's and don'ts. Laser, there's a chance of going wrong, yes, if you're not, if whoever is doing is very questionable, and if they don't give you set of do's and don'ts. Now if you suppose, imagine, this really scares me, getting a laser session done and cut to day 3, you're just putting bleach on your face. Now that happens, imagining doing laser for hair removal, and then there's no hair, and but still you're doing bleach because you want to look more fair. So these are kind of horrible mistakes that land people in trouble in the first place, and it's not just lasers, or it's not any particular thing. So what are your thoughts on this, Dr. Tanvi?
Been like sort of criminalized a little bit. I don't understand why. But the ones, especially for Pico with carbon toning, I haven't seen not coming back for a carbon toning. They usually once.
Same. Whether it is just, pigmentation, whether it is open pores, whether it is, just fine lines around your face, wrinkles. I think that is one thing which will dramatically give you improvement, and then plus follow it up with a very good skincare. So somebody's asking, does microblading harm? So now microblading something very different.
Yes, microblading is basically what we do for the eyebrows. So people with really sparse eyebrows, we sort of add strokes in. It's sort of like a tattooing where it's one of my most favorite procedures to do. I always like sketch.
Same. But
in like art and dermatology. I love doing it.
Exactly. I agree. So, just in layman term, guys, microblading is sort of a tattooing on face. So this is what we call as, semi-permanent makeup also sometimes, where, you could do this for dark lips, where they use pigments, to give you nice, luscious pink lips, and, to do it on eyebrows. I am a personal fan. I got it done. If you follow me for a while, I absolutely love microblading, and, it just changes your whole outlook towards procedures as well. Now, somebody's asked when to start using retinoids. I don't have any particular skin complaints. So now this is a very good question. Since you have more or less of a non-problematic skin, you can start easily, once you touch your 30s or maybe somewhere around 28 to 30 years old. But again, because you don't have any complaint and you're using a retinoid, it's very important to pick the right kind of retinoid. Now, if you want to look for a serum, your cream, there are multiple options in the market. I would say the safest way is to start by using a cream, because serums are very potent. They sometimes go very deep into your skin. So your skin has more absorbable power for serum. So I personally believe that, if you're a starter, begin with a moisturizer and always use a sandwich technique. Again, the basics, 2 times in a week, do it for like good 3 months. And then, you just sort of keep on increasing the strength as well as the duration of using a
There's
retinoid.
one question that's been coming quite a bit. A lot of people are asking whether they can use adapalene or tretinoin for their acne in different comments. Absolutely. It's one of the most basic and the first line treatments recommended by the British Association of Dermatology, the IADVL, the American Association, all of that. It is the most basic treatment for acne. Unless you're pregnant or lactating, absolutely that is something you need to start with. Have you also noticed there's a lot of people fighting in the comments with each other? I really don't know why.
I quite filtering out because there is a group of can't do anything about them. They're just very disruptive in nature. I think we'll just ignore them and the people who are actually here to learn something. And so I think this is going great. And guys, we'll just stick for another 5 minutes. So quickly we'll take up questions. If there's anything relevant that you really want to ask, then please do ask.
Yeah.
So somebody's asking. No, go ahead.
Dark circles and pigmentation. So again, here, this is a very interesting question. So dark circles is a very general term, right? There's a lot of reasons why your under eyes could look dark. So one is pigmentation. When there's actual, like the skin there is actually dark, right? That's one. The other is vascular cause. When the skin is really thin, there's a lot of people in which the under eyes look puffy, they look reddish, the veins are, that's a different type. That's a vascular type. And thirdly, there is also a lot of hollowness in some people under the eyes, which is basically a structural problem. I wouldn't say it's just the way the face is made. So structurally, the eyes are a little deeper set. Now, when it's a pigmentation, you can use a lot of these depigmenting ingredients like your kojic acid, your licorice, all of that. When there is a vascular cause, when it's that redness and that thin skin is there, or the puffiness, when you can use caffeine, vitamin K, that works. Hollowness, the only thing that can work is a filler, because the way we use lip fillers, the same way hyaluronic acid is injected into the under eyes, and it works brilliantly, lasts about 2 years. And none of these depigmenting creams will then work for you if you have that hollowness. Because see, a cream can't add flesh to a place where there it can't add volume to a place where there isn't. So the only thing that will work then is a filler. So you need to understand what kind of dark circles you have. That's very important.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of doctors keep on talking about it, but it's just that people, they just sort of block themselves out the moment you talk about fillers. It's like you just lose their attention right there and then. And I've seen this happen to me a lot of times. They just want ki bas cream de do, and we are out of that door. The moment there's just, again, like you very rightly said, they've sort of made up their minds, because I've actually seen it. The moment you talk about fillers, you kind of lose their attention right there, and they're just and they're sort of scared with it. Now, you should not be scared of fillers, because just so you see a cushion cover, for example, and when you have an old, dirty, really dyed down cushion, it doesn't look good. Now, the moment you add a filler to it, now it's all about how the light reflects off your face. It's all about that physics involved there. Once you have an even skin tone, hollowness could be for a lot of reasons. I see a lot of women who are very petite, they barely have any sort of good fat on their skin. So for people like those, fillers is really godsend. And when they finally build up the courage to get it in, Dr. Tanvi, they do not want anything else. So this is very good thing that you've sort of brought up, because dark circles is an essay like topic. There are different reasons for dark circles. It's not just it's not this and that. Sometimes I feel Instagram is now full of this and that, use this, use that, and I think this is also the reason for a lot of confusion. So dark circles is a huge topic, and maybe in future we guys can come back and just stick to one dark circles topic and then discuss it more. So all right, guys,
I also feel there's a lot of comfort level issues that if someone isn't comfortable, like for example, forget fillers, even if someone's just not comfortable with taking oral medications, uh, I always ask my patients,
Yeah.
ki, hey, are you okay with this? Because if I write it down and I write an oral retinoid and they're not comfortable, they're not taking it, I haven't written a topical retinoid. So the rest of my treatment isn't going to work on its own. So I always ask them, hey, are you definitely comfortable with this? Are you going to take this? If you are, then yes, let's go ahead. Same goes for, I think, a lot of procedural treatments. There are people who have, everyone has a different threshold. Someone's okay with stopping with peels, someone's okay with lasers, someone's okay with injectables. And I think like it's okay. We have to work with whatever our patient's threshold has. That is, I think that is
Yes, we can't force people to do it, but this is just to spread the knowledge that you come to us and educate you about the right thing. There is no way we're
yeah,
gonna give you something which is gonna
yeah.
harm
We
your
would,
skin or
recommend.
put your life by not exactly. So I think by with this we would like to come to the end of this live session. And Dr. Tanvi, it was super fun. I don't know where those 45 minutes went, and it so nice, and I'm very sure people have enjoyed this live. Thank you so much for joining in and tuning in, and thank you
Thank you
everybody
for having me. This was too much fun. We should definitely do this.
so much. More. All right, guys, take care. All of you have a very good
See you.
evening.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye, Dr. Tanvi.